N Studio Digital Radio.
Johnny Torres, El Producto.
DC Codes, director, producer, writer. Some call me Epic, some call me the visualist, and I'm in studio with Johnny Torres.
N Studio Digital.
DC, can you tell us what are you currently working on?
Well, I'm currently doing a feature film. I'm one of the co-directors and producers, along with Daniela Sanchez, my producer partner, doing it through our company 5.2/Epic Film. The project is called Black Van. It's starring Tretch. Jim Jones is in it. We have another A-list actor coming on board. Can't really say who it is yet, but it's going to be a surprise to everyone. The story centers around 4 childhood friends who was kidnapped, and they make a pact to years later get revenge on those who bullied them throughout school, and end up driving around in a black van and kidnapping them and taking them to a basement, and it gets sort of crazy at that point. So that's what the story centers around. It centers around bullying and how some people years later take revenge on the bullies. So again, the film is called The Black Van.
When can movie buffs expect to see it in the market?
Well, we have another 5 more days of filming. We had to put production on hold for a couple of days because Tret's schedule got sort of crazy. So we go back to shooting on the 21st, and then after that I got a music video I'm gonna do with Tretch, and then I got a few other music videos lined up directly after we finish this film. And then we hope to go into production on a short film that's called Positive that myself and Daniela are producing for a young up-and-coming filmmaker named Bobby Ashley. So that should be very interesting because it's about this young lady who knowingly has the HIV virus, and she sort of goes around and sleeps with every guy she can come in contact with and sort of spreads the disease. So that's what that short film is about. It's more of a alertness theme type short film to bring awareness to the youth about this deadly illness.
You bring us some of our favorite music videos, and you're a film director. What is your favorite part of the filming process?
Actually, my favorite part is pre-production and post-production. To me, once we're on set, that's more, I'm already thinking about the editing process at that point. So everything from that point when I'm on set is just logistically getting all the pieces to the puzzle that I already had in my head at pre-production. So now production is just gathering all those pieces and then putting them together when we actually get to the editing. So a lot of my energy go into the planning stage of it and the post-production stage, because I want to strongly believe everything is made in post-production. Of course, production, you're getting all the elements to make it, but it's really made when you get into the editing room. Once you put together the editing, and once you bring in a composer to do the score, all that is when the magic happens. And I have a very strange way of working on set, which sometimes drive people crazy. Well, most times drive people crazy because I don't do shot lists, I don't do storyboards or anything, because 90% of my stuff, if it's not on the script or if it's not on the treatment, then it's all in my head. And I found a lot of times, coming up doing music videos, when I would write shot lists and or storyboards, they would still be slightly interpreted anyway. So when I get on set, I like to know what I'm about to do, but also allow creativity to happen once I'm on location and in that environment. Because a lot of times, if I have a storyboard or a shot list, then most of the times they make me stick to what's on that piece of paper or what's on that board, and I feel that limits me. So that's my strange way of working. So again, a lot of my energy goes into the pre-production planning stages and goes into post-production. That's what works best for me. Different people have different ways of working. So
what is the most difficult thing about directing a film?
In directing a film, the thing I find most challenging is actually trying to get everyone on the same page and on the same vision, because everyone has their vision / interpretation interpretation of your vision. So it's sort of like if you want somebody to paint your house blue, you can tell them to paint it blue and you can show them the blue, but then they may come in and add white to it or have a different tint of blue, so to speak. So that's sort of what happens when you try to get the DP/director of photography and you're trying to get the talent and the assistant director and the producer. You're trying to get everybody on the same line and on the same page as you. That's very, very challenging. Like extremely challenging, where it gets frustrating, where at times you want to feel like grabbing the camera yourself or setting up the light yourself or acting in the scene yourself, because no one is exactly doing 100% of how you see it. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just something that I find very challenging. Now, on the producing side, it's always about dealing with egos and dealing with scheduling and also dealing with, like, investors, like the business part. So when I'm producing, which I'm doing this project as well because I'm co-directing and producing it, so 1 second I'm talking to the executive producers, trying to keep them where they need to be. Then I'm dealing with the actors and their egos, and then I have to direct all at the same time. So it's very challenging to do that. I see a lot of directors, they want to be producers and directors doing the same project, and I constantly tell people that's sort of like setting themselves up because it's a difficult task.
You know, I've had the privilege of seeing some behind the scenes and seeing the master at work, because you're a master at what you do. Can you tell us about your directing style?
So to answer that question, my style, I guess a lot of people, a lot of feedback coming back on this set especially, but in the past as well, but on the set especially, I'm hearing a lot of whispering and people are coming back and saying, people say you're very, very visual, and I guess that comes from my background of always, at a younger age, wanting to be a photographer. And that's how it helped so much when I was doing music videos, because I'm very much about the image. But I also have a background in which I was taught from the age of 12, and that was also one of my majors in college because I was a double major. But I was a theater art student. So I studied that intensively from the age of 12. So that's sort of what I also bring to my work as a director for films, is that I don't see one thing absent. Like, I find a lot of directors, they focus just on the act, and then some focus just on the look. Well, I find that not one of them leads to a great film, but the combination of the three lead to a great film. I feel like the acting has to be on point, the look and feel of the film has to be on point, and the score has to be on point. You know what I mean? Like, the three of them all has to be the story. Like, the music has to tell the same story, the acting has to tell the same story, and the film has to tell the same story. So they all have to paint the same picture. And I sort of think that's sort of what has become my style, which is at times can be sort of edgy and sort of, I don't want to say gritty, but very edgy and moody. I sort of had that conversation with the DP, because we have two DPs on the shoot. I sort of had that conversation with them a lot, in which I have to make sure that everything is being lit a certain way, because the feel of this film is a certain way. It's not a bright, happy-go-lucky film, so nothing should be bright and happy-go-lucky, because again, the lighting depicts an emotional feel to the audience. So it has to be the same feeling that the actors are getting off, and the music has to also depict that same feeling of the film. So that's sort of what my style is.
What do you love most about what you do?
I think one of the, it's a few things, but one of the things I think I like the most is that it's sort of like a I don't want to say a kid in a candy store. It's more like a kid in an art room or art class where they got all these crayons and they sort of can paint their picture and color it the way they want, and, you know, scribble the way they want, and then the teacher will not say to them, that their picture is a bad picture. It's more that's their picture. You know what I mean? Like that's the way they wanted to paint their picture. Of course, people would see my work and they would judge it, which they have a right to. But once it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands. I can just paint the picture the way it comes to me. You know what I mean? So, however the message comes to me, that's how I paint my picture. And that's what I enjoy about it the most, is that nobody can really tell me how to paint my picture. They can give me their ideas, and I can sort of change my colors based on what they want me to do. But at the end of the day, it's still a picture that I see that I want to paint it a certain way. And it's sort of like one of the things you learn in acting is that you're allowed to play. You're allowed to tap into that childhood nature of yourself. And this canvas, be it a screen, is your play field, like your playground. You know what I mean? So you sort of paint the pictures how you see it. And there's no right or wrong in it. It's just other people's interpretation of that picture.
Do you have a philosophy that you live by?
As far as from an artist standpoint, my philosophy always is, and I tell, my team around me and other people that I, come across or whatever, I just think that, like for me, I have someone on the set now. We have to release a couple of people throughout this production already. And the reason I had to release them, not because they were incompetent in what they were doing, it's sort of like when you're on a team, you have to sort of play how that team plays. And you have to sort of, play by their game book in order to try to win the game. It don't mean that you're good or bad. It just means you have to fit in the team that you can fit in. And my major thing to them is anyone who comes on my set sometimes feel that it's not a set. That being because it's constant laughter and constant fun on my set. And I'm constantly and I'm the main one that's cracking the jokes and making it lively, because I sort of feel like we're blessed and it's doing. Because not everyone is that fortunate. I know filmmakers that haven't done films in years, and I know actors that haven't acted in years, and on and on and on. So whenever I'm privileged to have an opportunity, it's like I enjoy it. It's a lot of struggle, a lot of challenge, and we all know all that stuff that go into production of anything, but I love it. So while I'm there, I'm appreciating it and I'm having fun with it. So I don't like sets that's sort of like over serious and everybody's, walking around like they're at a funeral wake and everybody's looking over dramatic. So I constantly tell people to enjoy and have fun doing what you say you want to do. And I take that same approach to life in the sense that I'm constantly challenging myself, constantly trying to push myself, because the minute that I don't find it fun, be it life or being on set, then I don't need to be there. Once it becomes like a dreading job, then I don't need to be there, because I don't put my whole life and dream. And I don't think no one dreams of living a life or a profession or a job that they hate to go to. So once I hate going there, then I don't want to go there no more. So that's my philosophy of life. Like, try to find whatever it is you like, be it the job, be it the relationship, or whatever, and really appreciate it to the fullest, and not to always look at it as something that's negative and bad. That's similar to, when we pray, we're sort of happy that we wake up in the morning, good, bad, or indifferent, because there are people worse off than us. So I always try to apply that to my life, to my career, and to everything.
What is the best advice that you could give to someone new to filmmaking?
First of all, I would say to them is to study their craft. I don't necessarily mean go to a 4-year college unless they plan to be a teacher. But definitely let's study other directors, because there's so much on the internet now, so there's no excuse for not studying other directors, other producers, other great films, because that's where you get a lot of your inspiration from. Studying the great, and then they just have to go out there and make mistakes. And I think that's where a lot of people sort of fall flat. It's sort of like when I played sports growing up. I realized that part of playing sports is you have to have understanding that you may lose some of the games. So that's just part of playing the game, is that you walk away and realize that's part of it. You just lose some. You want to win them all, but you realize that you lose some, because really your growth comes from the failure. It don't come from the success. It comes from when you lose, because when you mess up, then you sit back and say, how can I not do that again? So I tell a lot of people to go on set, intern, study under other directors, producers, and blah, 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 to learn the art of doing what they want to do. Instead of going to a store buying a 5D or a 7D and then running around telling everybody they can make a music video. Because having a camera doesn't give you vision, it just gives you a camera. And you know what I mean? I made it, when I look back at, I'll say my first 30 videos per se, because it took me like 30 videos before I actually got swept up by the majors, and then, you know, it went to wherever it went. But in those 30 videos, I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm glad I did it on the indie level before the majors picked me up, because if I would have did those same mistakes when the majors was giving us, you know, $200,000-$300,000, they would have never hired me again, because I would have made rookie mistakes. So that's why I encourage every filmmaker to go out there. Find me on Twitter. I am DC07. I am DC07.
N Studio Digital.
On Twitter.